What's up, good people? David Taub here from NextLevelGuitar.com, and we receive hundreds of emails every week, and we thank you for your emails and your passion about the guitar, and thanks for checking out our videos and subscribing to our videos on our website. And one of the most common questions that we get on lead guitar playing is, I'm stuck in the box in minor pentatonic, and I'm always playing the same licks, and I don't know what to do to spice up my soloing. I'm always playing the same notes, okay? So I thought I'd throw together a little something just to get a little bit of spice mixed in there, Tim Gilberg. Little something, something.
Spice it up.
Little zazazoo for you. Okay. The quickest thing and the easiest thing that you could do with your soloing very quickly is to add some passing notes to your minor pentatonic scales or minor pentatonic and blues scales. And you could use passing notes in all your scales, but start easy. First learn run, then learn fly, Danielson, okay? Now, you're going to be going outside the scale and grabbing some notes and pulling them in. And what that's going to do, it's going to create some outside sounds that your ear and the listener's ear is not expecting. So it's very unexpected and very cool, and it's an easy and fast way to spice up your soloing. Now, it's kind of a little bit what jazz is about, you know, about going outside and getting something and bringing it in, you know, and but don't abuse it, because if you do it too much, it'll sound too predictable, okay? So you want to do it, but have some restraint. So what I'm talking about is, now remember, there's 12 notes in Western music. That's it, okay? And if you're playing the minor pentatonic scale, you're playing 5 notes, right? The root, the flat third, the fourth, the fifth, and the flat seventh. If you're adding the blues note, you're playing the flat 5, so you're playing 6 notes. There's 6 other notes in the scale that you're not playing. And so many people think, oh, I can't use those. Sure you can. You want to use all 12 notes. Why limit your weaponry, so to speak? So you can use the other notes if you use them correctly, if you use them in passing. For this example, now some of those notes are in other modes of the major scale or whatnot that you're going to be learning eventually if you're starting to learn, you know, your natural minor scales, your Aeolian mode, your Dorian and Mixolydian, blah, 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 blah. But real quick, let's say if we're playing in the key of C, right? So you're playing your C minor pentatonic. What I want you to start thinking about is starting to use these notes that are not in the scale, but use them in passing. And what I'm doing is I'm slurring them into the scale. So I'm going back a half a step. So if you're playing this box position, we'll just stay in the box position just for instructional purposes. Obviously you want to learn your scales and modes over the whole neck in all keys. But let's say you're playing, so you're playing every note on the 8th fret going right down the strings. So go to the 7th fret and take that note and slide it in. And throw that into your playing. Now don't hang on those notes. Use them as like an 8th note kind of passing, like 1 and ba-da, but slur it into the scale. And it adds so much interest. And you could do that all day long. Just grab that, you know, half step behind your note in the scale. Especially if you're playing in minor pentatonic in a kind of like a blues rock or a rock or 1-4-5 kind of vein. And you could even grab notes that you normally wouldn't grab. For instance, what I played this lick. I played, like, let's say I'm playing over a C minor 7 to like an F minor 7. So you see the interest that I'm creating just by using those passing tones. I even played this lick. Now what I did there was I played the C note on the 8th fret, hammering it to the 9th fret and pulling it off. Now that 9th fret, that C sharp, that flat 2 is not in the scale. And in fact, if you're playing over either chord and you hold that note, listen how dissonant it will sound. You hear that, Tim? That sounds terrible. Because I'm holding the note. Now here's the whole trick to passing tones. Don't hold it or try to vibrato it. You got to get on it and get off it. If you get on and off it, what happens is your ear hears the cool. Wait a minute, here's something outside, but you're not staying on it long enough to hear the dissonance like that. See, you can hear the dissonance because I'm holding a C minor 7th chord. That's sticking in your ear. How terrible that sounds. But if I use that note in passing, it sounds cool because I'm only on it for a split second. Same thing with these other notes that are outside the scale, and that sounds interesting. But remember, if you're not sure if it's in another mode or something, don't hang on it. I just want you to start sliding around and using these notes in passing. Now remember, you're playing minor pentatonic and blues, 6 notes. Use those other 6 notes. You could even play licks like this where I'm throwing in just about every note. So what I'm doing there is I'm hammering all the outside notes, and I'm doing it quickly in a run. So again, your ear hears coolness, but not dissonance because I'm not hanging on them. So that lick is something like I played like 6th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret with hammers on the low E, then 6th, 7th, and 8th fret with hammers on the A string, then 7th, 8th, and 9th on the A string, then 8th, 9th, and 10th on the A string. So you get something like this. Then you could do the same thing. 8th, 9th, and 10th on the D string, and 8th, 9th, and 10th on the G. So you get something like this. And you hear all those outside notes I'm hitting, but again, I'm not landing on them and staying on them for any length of time. So very, very easy to really spice things up. I'll just play a couple other licks for you so you can hear this. So there's our, just to get your ear on that C minor, or in the key of C minor, to an F minor 7, C minor 7th or C minor 9. And then try to pick up little melodies and repeat them in different rhythmic fashions, because you want to have a lot of rhythmic vocabulary in your lead playing, especially when you're using minor pentatonic and blues, because you only have 5 or 6 notes mainly, and then you have your passing notes. So you better have a good rhythm vocabulary of how to play these notes in different combinations and different rhythms. If you get stuck, try to say a lick out loud. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. With a little hop in it. And then throw in a passing. So you get ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And then throw in some more passing notes. And stay on your notes for various length of times. Don't always play in 8th notes or 16ths. Kind of vary it up. Hold a note. Do a bend. Go back. Passing note. Slide. You know? Anything to vary that contour is really going to add a lot to your playing. And I'm just staying in this one position just to show you this technique, okay? So it's very simple, very effective way to throw in some curveballs into your playing. So just because a scale has a certain amount of notes doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay just on those notes. So you want to go outside the box, so to speak, and grab those passing tones. Now again, it works really well, certainly minor key or minor, when you're using a lot of minor pentatonic and blues playing in minor key or 1-4-5 or in a rock vein. You have to be very careful with it if you're playing something in major key, where you might be using like major pentatonic or your major scales. Then you don't have as much room there. You really want to know a little bit more about what you're doing. That's when, you know, you want to know a little bit about music theory is so important. I think so anyway. A lot of people disagree, and I think music theory gives you an advantage because it makes you, it'll move you faster to your guitar goals. Instead of hunting around and pecking for notes, which your ear will eventually take you to, you know exactly why certain things sound good, what notes sound good over what chords, what intervals, you know, and that's kind of a big trick. And a lot of people are like, well, you really don't have to know music theory. You could just, you know, play by ear. And yes, that's true, but especially when you're just starting, I mean, why spend 10 minutes trying to hunt and peck for the right note. If you know your theory, you can go to that note and know it exactly, and it just saves you so much time. No, I'm not saying you have to have a black belt in music theory, okay? But what I'm saying is a little bit of music theory goes a long way, and it's not as complicated as many people make it out to be. In fact, on our website, we break it down. We have special lessons on music theory, and we make it easy and fun. And a lot of times our students are like, wow, I never thought music theory was so simple and easy. It really is if you take it a step at a time, break it down, and then build on top of it. And you can take it as far as you want, but knowing a little theory really will get you to the next level. Knowing your intervals, your notes on the neck, knowing what notes make up each chord, knowing what intervals you're playing in scales, not just shapes, you know, or fingerings like tablature, but knowing the notes and the intervals, that's huge. Okay, and you could do it, and it doesn't take a lot of extra work, but believe me, it's well worth it. That's just my opinion. So if you don't agree with that, you know, and you're not an advocate of knowing some theory, you know, that's fine. I'm not knocking you. So easy on the hate mail, because that's the great thing about guitar is there's so many different passages and pathways you could take. You want to learn a little bit of theory. You don't want to learn a bit of theory. You want to learn more rhythm. You want to learn more soloing. You want to learn to play jazz. You want to learn to play blues. That's such an awesome thing about instruments is you can kind of choose your own destiny and take it as far as you want to and have fun and enjoy it. And that's what we're about at Next Level Guitar, about helping you to understand the instrument and using it to bring joy to your lives.
Also sustain.
And have the sustain and to put your amps on 11, 1 past 10. So anyway, I'll go to our website, Next Level Guitar, and nextlevelguitar.com, and please subscribe to our YouTube videos by hitting that yellow subscribe button, and we will keep them coming. Take care. Rock on.